It's a beautifully shot portrait of an inner city Black American Muslim community.
That's when I realized it was a time for a change.
The central character is an ex-con who was a casket builder.
He's never had anybody.
How do we weave between these two spaces of the rituals of death and the coming of age intimacy?
Is the film more about death or life? Directed by Zishan Ali and produced by his brother Iman Ali. Here is Two Gods.
Sound like a buck. Khadija just call you? Little sis just call you?
No, she didn't call me.
She gotta call you, because she gonna call you. Somebody just died just now in the emergency room and they want him in the box like right now, whoever it is. They want him in the box like right now.
They want him in the box right now.
Yeah, she just died in the emergency.
Where is she at?
She gonna go to the funeral home. She said drop her up, bring her to the funeral home.
So you come to me. Come to me right side. Come and put this shit on. We got a truck.
Okay.
But I was told to show what's going on.
This is something, it's like a love right here. What I'm supposed to be doing. And I always keep the focus on the world. You know what I mean? Cat a little bit, walk around here. Got a lot of energy. You may not understand, but I put dedication and pride to what I do. I really do. And I take life serious. Cause this ain't no damn game by no means.
Yes, I had your girlfriend. That was your girlfriend. That was your girlfriend. That was your girlfriend. She was the last night. Girlfriend, girlfriend. Yes, I had your girlfriend.
Yeah. Those two. No, I'm gonna just give you. Well, you're taking me now. But I'm gonna just give you the ones I'm talking about now. Okay.
I used to go with Rashad to deliver caskets. So one day, Rashad said to me, I can be paying you. You can do this here. It ain't hard. And ever since then, I've been building these caskets.
No, I wasn't worried about that. Right? Yeah, I need to know when I need to cut the other ones at. But actually, only worry about one. Just do one. You can do that one tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, baby.
I'm 12, more responsibilities in life now. I'm gonna turn out older. Come on, y'all gonna sing happy birthday?
Happy birthday, dear Frequan. Happy birthday to you.
Alright, now. Yeah. That's too much cake though. This cake not going nowhere. So got double layers. This is my bathroom. I pull in shower, pull out shower. Boom, boom. This is my room. Me and my brother share a room. My mom and her boyfriend share a room. And this is my mom. So I'm gonna go sit down. I just want a good birthday. So. Oh man, about to get you. Oh man, about to get you. It's so hot out here, they sweating. Some more, honey?
I can smell the water, boy. I can smell the water.
Hey, okay. Get it, man. Get it.
You good, little buddy, you heard?
Grab this, pour the bottle as you're walking around the back. Oh, man. All right. What you do?
He all right. He think he's my only uncle, but he not. There's two more. He's the baby. He's the baby boy. I used to work nights and used to babysit my kids. I get in the house, every light is on. I'm calling, and my kids answer the phone. I'm like, where's Uncle Honey? Oh, he right here on the couch. I'm like, what do you mean? Sleep. I'm like, Uncle Honey. The kids up, they supposed to be in bed for school. Do not ever let him babysit for you. No babysitting. And that is on record. Don't babysit.
I had to come here, and then she fussed at me.
I'm the niece.
Yeah, I let them see.
I'm not the mama. I'm the niece. Okay? You listen to me. When he was younger, he was still on the wrong path. You know what I mean? Through Uncle Hanif experiences, his bad stuff, his rough time, I let him be an example to my kids because you could come out of that if you choose to. But with Uncle Hanif, even though I fuss at him like he my son, and God or Allah, whatever his caller is, higher above, has helped him really recognize what he has, what he lost, and what he can do. By all means.
I will, I must stop the violence. Beloved brothers and sisters, you know it's gotta be bad when a mortician come out and tell you to stop killing. We tired of patching up bullet wounds. We tired of putting your skull back together.
I'm on my way. I did 4 also. I'll be in there.
We have an obligation as Muslims to change things with our hands. We have a condition here now of our people waiting to exhale. To exhale from what? From burying our children because of the streets.
I played in the streets, man, and playing with the gun, just trying to survive. So as years went by, I started going to prison. I caught myself up. I'm not gonna never blame nobody for the shit that I did. That's when I realized, so it was a time for a change.
I met Hanif. He taught me how to build, like, you know, the caskets that they bury Muslims in. He taught me a lot of stuff.
I want to experience it.
It's not as easy as it looks. But he want me to wash the bodies with him. I'm a little scared of like dead, so I don't really like that stuff. I'm still like a big old kid.
This for you right here, Nas. This for you, Nas. I got him right here. I got him.
When I first met Hanif, it was like a older brother that I don't have because I'm the only child.
And you know you can call me anytime, like I'm gonna come flip and run it, but I just don't want you caught up in that other extra shit, man. You know, I just don't want you caught up in that.
He took me to like plenty masjids, meet new people. I think it was the second day of Ramadan. So if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't know as many Muslim brothers that I know now. He started off from where I started from. And it felt good, because no matter what I go through, I know that if I call Hanif, I know he gonna come. I know he always there for me.
A little training here.
How much you got? How are you? How you doing?
You put your thumbs in here, like this, and the other one, and then you put your gloves so that the water and everything is different. But you should take your sweater because you don't want stuff, you know.
I need. You already cleaned them up? No, all right, so we'll go ahead and just start that process. No water, correct. Got your when you wash it, all you're doing is raising here. So you just thoroughly, always your left hand in those areas. So one brother hold it out like this here, and I will wash, correct?
The second time I did a washing, it was a friend of mine. It was an honor opportunity being able to help the ones that got called home and knowing my time is coming. And Rashad pretty much put me under his wing.
What's important is you give them their right, which is wash them properly. And while you're taking pride into doing what you're doing because they're no longer able to do it for themselves, you're receiving the benefit and the mercy from your Creator. The benefit and the blessing that comes from it. Who doesn't need 40 major sins removed? Who doesn't need all your sins removed?
What you learned today is you learned what happens to a Muslim after they die. And in case I was to get killed or I was to die of natural causes, what you supposed to do to me? Wash my right side, wash my left side, clean me up, shroud me, right? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, just tighten it up.
Take me on this doggone bike. They gonna see me.
You say I ain't gonna see you what? Don't go that way, huh?
Bubba, I'm trying to turn around.
Yeah, but still don't go that way. Oh!
See? He told me to turn. He did. Yeah, he told me to turn. Oh, baby, baby! I got this thing here.
Right here.
I got this thing here.
No, don't go that way. Don't go that way. Come on, man. Today my day off, bro.
Okay, let's see what you fucking with.
Bro, today my day off, bro.
Yo, bro, get out.
Come on, today my day off. I'm all by myself.
You is?
Yeah, my mom.
You ain't by yourself then?
My mom,
You with us?
My mom, my stepfather, and my brother went to a party.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, and I didn't want to
You ain't want to go, right? What's that?
It was a kiddie party. I'm about to go to a kiddie party.
You a kid?
Ain't no kid. Grown man.
So you want to help me if I needed your help?
Yeah.
I need your help.
How you doing?
Yeah.
You want any breaks to do really?
Be careful, I got it. Be careful. You gotta make sure it's lined up right. Don't cut it's not a gun that you use to hurt people with. Okay? So just be careful on how you're doing it. Hold that, don't shoot it. You wanna make sure it's even, just like this, not shoot it. Push it out. Take it out. Take it off the board now. Put it back down and shoot it. Make sure it's even. You can hold this board. Now look good there, see if anything come out.
Nope.
All right.
Like this, all right?
Yeah, take that off. Did you tell your friends on what you do?
No.
On what you help doing? You think that would be a good experience for them to learn?
Yeah, maybe.
What kind of friends you hang around?
I really hang around with my cousins.
Girls. Big on girls? That's not a good answer. So when I saw you, who you was with?
Who?
At the park.
Oh, girl.
So you be around girls?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Want to try this?
Yeah. Like right there.
Right there. Push your weight. Use your back arm and push. Don't let it lean up off you. Push, 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 push. Good job. Hold this for me, Give me my concrete.
Oh, what, this?
Fraquan actually is a very strong kid. But when you live in that neighborhood and you grow up in that neighborhood, he's like a speck in a mountain full of snow. You know what I'm saying? He sticks out like a sore thumb. And him not having a father image, somebody to take him to play ball or to go fishing, he's never had anybody.
You got work to business on me, slice of pizza.
Huh? You got money?
You got the money.
I don't have no money. I like him. You know, I like him. And he can be a good kid. He just need guidance, man. He don't need the quality time on the street. He don't need it. If I die, what would you do? What would you do if I die?
I bury you.
I appreciate it.
And then I take your business over. Then I'll be building caskets. And take over to all this.
Hey! I didn't know he looked like me. Everybody let me look like me. You think you look like me?
Y'all tell him put the gloves on. Yeah.
I hurt my son, man.
Put the gloves on.
Bro. You really think you can handle your dad, dog? That's crazy, my dude. You really think you can handle that? I'll get him if you really think you can handle it.
Yeah. Get the gloves, come on.
When I was locked up, I left my son. But did I, think about him? Maybe yeah, maybe no.
At that time, I was just thinking, well, he gone. I don't know when he coming home. I just wanted him home. But as I grew older, I was just disappointed. So now, I just told him, just stay out the way. If you got something good going on, just stick to what you got going on. That's it.
If you just settle down and fight, if you just settle down,
I'm gonna settle down.
Settle down in the box, and I'll let you get a punch over. That's it, man.
I just want to hit him hard one time. Something to rub in his face.
I'm gonna watch this little scene that Nas wanted me to look at, so I'm gonna take a peek at it. I was disturbed. I was fucked up on the video. And the reason why I was fucked up on the video, I seen you doing something that I wasn't approved of or celebrate. And I was slinging that motherfucking gun and singing that little rap shit. I'm not pleased with it. I'm not approving that shit. I don't like that shit. Like, me personally, I didn't see Nas. I didn't see my little brother. But I need to know who the fuck that was singing that shit, and I know it was my little brother now. That's what I gotta say like that. That wasn't you, bro.
Today one of his friends' birthday that's not here, right?
Really?
Yeah, one of their friends' birthday today, but he's not here. He got hit. That's the one at the Casket?
So many kids.
A lot of young black sons.
That's sick. Talk about 18.
18. I can't believe that. It's sad. That's why I'm happy to see my son. 18.
Happy birthday to you.
Put it in a freezer now. Go ahead,
They like, yeah, you gotta. Yes, I was like, yeah, my son 18. They're like, oh, you look nice. I'm like, thank you, Dad. Yeah, 18. Nah, it's cool because he cool like Kira. Like, nah, it's cool like his mother.
My mother always tell me that society is waiting for a slip up. For me, it's just outside. I usually find myself hanging with the wrong people. Like last year when I got locked up, and that's how it is. It's like they waiting for a slip up so they can send me right back in there. I'm strong. I don't know. I'm strong. Nothing really could bother me because it's Ramadan, and I could go to Juma on Fridays, and usually it made me just feel like a cleansed person. Like I just clean myself. Usually it's Juma to clear my mind.
Eddie. Oh, stop, you know I'm fat. You can't give me rib shot. Now give me a mother a hug. That's quick. Damn.
Was shot and killed around 1 a.m. on South 16th Street in East Orange.
But I love him. I miss him.
Owen's wife exclusively tells us her husband, her high school sweetheart, and father of their 2 children was sitting in a car with his 25-year-old son and a former student when Owens and his son were both shot.
Kofi, we honor you. We thank you for the life you shared with the world. We speak your name. Rest well.
And now I'd like to bring up Mr. Owens' mother, Gloria Owens.
I just want to say that he was a blessing. He was a blessing. And I was thinking we could march on March 10, we can march in the streets. But we need to march for our children. What is the plan? It takes a village to raise a child.
That's right.
Children. Who are you raising today? Who are you mentoring today? So I'm asking that you rise up and raise this village.
You gotta live, not die. It's not hard to die. But they make it to where it's hard to live. Because you die now, don't you know it? I know how to nurse the body. I know how to help the body. I'm not afraid of the body. I hold them in my arm to let them, I guess, get a smell of me, get a whiff of me, or just they be right here.
What my only candle? Hurry up, Shamir, like this. Like this. Or give me. Do mine too. At the same time. Fire! Fire! One time, yeah. I want you. You ain't getting no juice. I want you. Tell him, sorry, stop. Get off. Go get you a 50-cent juice. Go. Go. I'm telling you to go. When I'm alone, I talk to God. Sometimes.
What y'all talking about?
That's between me and God. That's between me and God. I can't tell my prayers.
I was walking. Yeah, the cops, I was walking. But they said they had my description or whatever. And then they grabbed me. Yo, I got locked up on 12-5. I'm like, I live right here. They didn't catch me in no car, nothing. They just put me there. They didn't find no key on me. They didn't find me in the car. I was blocks away from the car. That's how it is. Like, they know I've been locked up for stolen cars, so why not?
I know he don't really be out there with drugs on him, guns on him, or anything like that, but be out there here in Philly.
I was doing good, too. It's like, just when they see you doing good, they smack you. Boom.
I had a really, really good mom. My mom was really good. So she helped me a lot. Like, just making sure that Nazir has, like, the best of everything. He was in the house a lot with my mother. He was really close to my mom. But she passed away in 2014. He was the one who was there. You know, he had to call the ambulance. He had to ride in the ambulance. He the one who was with her. As an adult, when you grieve, it's kind of hard for you. But as a child, I think it's actually harder. He was grieving, but I had to start dealing with him actually like getting into trouble. So it's like, I'm still grieving my mom, but I still have to be a mom. He never was in trouble until my mom passed. So it's really, really hard. Like, it's really hard.
How may I help you?
Can you transfer me to the ER?
To the ER?
Yes.
Sure, hold on 1 second. ER, Bevin.
Hello, can you tell me Thomasina's status?
I can't give you anybody's status over the phone.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Guess what?
What?
Mommy had to get 7 staples in her head, on top of her head.
What happened? He pushed you down?
He pushed her into the radiator.
Oh my God.
She gotta go back on the F to get stitches. She got staples in her head now. It's all blood all over her hair and stuff.
I don't fucking believe it. I just don't believe it.
Last night I was sleeping in my mom's room and my mom went to sleep and kept making noise and stuff. So I got up and went in my room. And then he was all drunked up, smoking, drinking, stuff. And then he kept saying stuff to me, so I was like, suck my dick. And he started hitting me. And then when we got on the porch, he hit me.
Has he hit you before when he's drunk?
No, I want to talk about that. Because I should have never left.
That's how they go. I'm on my sisters. Think a lot much for my family. My sisters, my niece, then my mom. Because of them, I have somewhere to rest my head. But sometimes you just don't want to go nowhere, stand in the damn car. Let me share something with y'all. I had the opportunity to sell drugs again just a couple days ago. And I had it in my hand. I was so scared. I had the shot at it, strong shot at it. Did it for a couple hours, 2 hours. Shit me. I hold on to that thing. He straight convinced me. Laid the money out, mean how much money and what it can be, what we can do. So damn scared about getting it back. I mean, because I can't live that life. I'm struggling, man, to make it to where I gotta make it, to go to where I wanna go. How I'm gonna get there is keeping my head up, keeping the focus. How I'm gonna get there and try to save a life.
Did he tell you what happened a couple weeks ago?
What about her head?
Yeah, and what happened to Furquan as well?
No, he hasn't said it to me yet. We'll talk. I don't know. But I really feel she has to sign over papers for me to get him in school down there.
But I know that if he is in a different environment, he'll be a different kid. Like I told you, you fall into a rut. It's like a deep hole. And no matter how much you dig and scratch and scrape, you can't get out. That's the way your mother is. But that doesn't mean that you have to go through that.
That's what I tell him.
That's your mother. That's not you. You're a whole different person. You got your whole life ahead of you.
When I wake up, he realize, man, how much I care for him.
I'm not leaving. I'm gonna stay down there.
That's might be good for you. I thought about that.
And I want to miss you.
That's all right, man. As long as you're good. As long as I know you're alive, I'm making my business to get at you. How about that?
Give Quan a hug, Chess. Make sure you call when you get down there, okay? Call me.
Ball, Mom.
What's up, nigga? What's up, nigga? Yo, you gotta get a haircut, dude. When you gonna get a haircut?
I don't know. They gave me a curfew anyway.
What's the curfew?
8 o'clock.
Me being in the house all day, I can't do that. I don't even know. I can go to probation on Mondays. I got a text like my probation officer every night telling them I'm in the house. And I only been on a brace for probably like 2 days. It's like somebody just tracking me every day of my life or something. I am free now, but it's kind of like I'm not. It's like I'm outside, but it's like I'm inside. Cause every time I turn around, it's court, probation officer popping up to my house. Like, it's always something. And the school I'm at now, it's like you miss one class. It feel like you miss a lot of stuff. So 1 minute I be in class learning it, and I'm finally getting the way that things is in class. And then the next minute, I'm just lost because I gotta go to court or something. I thought it was gonna be easy, I guess, but it's not. This thing probably got chopped off.
Young man, if he talk, I don't know. He probably say, I ain't meant to call you. What's up, black man? Yeah, get out your nose. You gonna eat the boogers?
Come on, man.
Yo, but get some tissue to go on this shit. Man. God, that shit don't look right, bro. Let me finish up what I'm doing. I'm making caskets right now. I gotta finish up. But I'm gonna show you those pictures I want you to see, man. That's what I do. Just to let you know. I love you, monkey.
I love you too, Chop.
All right.
Bulletproof. Let's see.
The individual teachers will provide a list of items needed for their class at open house. So of course we didn't go to open house because that was before you was even down here. Here's your erasers you need.
Okay.
Now it says number 2 pencils, which that's what you got. It says 2 packs of 20, but I think that's to share.
I'm not sharing.
Yes, you are. We do what we're supposed to do here, okay? That's for kids that come to school that may not have a pencil. Just like if you happen to go to school and don't have a pencil, that's why we do that. That's how they do it here. You don't want to go the first day up and down, and I need this and I need that. I want to make sure you're prepared. Okay? You gotta remember, you're in a whole new environment, whole new rules. Okay? All right.
Nasir! Jira! Yo, what the fuck, man? Your mother said you trying to cut your shit off?
Cut.
What the fuck you cut it for, man? You can't. How did you manage to cut the motherfucker off?
With a knife.
And it came off?
Yeah.
What made you do it, man? What the fuck happened, man? Just explain that, man. I need to know. What you gotta tell me, man, because it's not you.
I'm on a brace, but my mother, every time we get into an argument or something, is, oh, I call the cops, or I should have told them to keep me.
That's killer. That's your mother. Like, she just like that, her emotions, man, because she knows she fighting that battle by herself, man. You still going to the program?
No.
Oh, God. Careful, man.
If I go to the program, they could come get me from there.
So now you're on the move, because you frustrated. Fuck that, man. I fucked up a lot of times, but I'm not gonna do nothing to jeopardize my life. That ain't gonna happen, bro. You know how many times nights I want to even fucking get high to numb myself, put it to you like that, to numb myself, but try to escape the reality of it. That shit ain't happening, man. Yeah, I don't know, man. I fucking know. Please. That shit hurt me, man. Like, that hurt me, man.
Okay, I'm getting in. Stop. Ah, stop! Payment, stop! Man, forget this. Whoa! Oh, Jesus! Payment, stop!
It's loud. Mom! Stop!
I made some bad decisions down here in school. As a kid, he just kept saying, Jersey boy, what you gonna do? So I went, I choked him up, I yoked him up, grabbed him by the neck and threw him on the ground. Then that's when the math teacher came to me and said, you can't be doing that. But they're like all rednecks and stuff like that. Like, you know how they call us the N-word? We're calling them rednecks.
I try to remember the situation he's in, but I also tell him that he can't use that as a crutch no longer because he's not there. He's here.
أو على سفر فعدة من الأيام الأخرى يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون. The month of Ramadan is that in which the Quran was revealed. Therefore, whoever of you is present in the month shall fast a like number of days.
Thank you, اللهم اجعل خير أعمالنا أواخرها وخير أعمالنا خواتمها. اللهم ارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين. اللهم فك أسرانا وأسر المسلمين. الله أكبر.
last Ramadan, I was home. So I still could start my day off how I want and fast regular. But now, it's too hard. Because I'm running the streets. I don't gotta balance the whole meal in the morning, plus running the streets. So it's just hard.
I don't know if you think you're more comfortable on this motherfucking street, bro, because you're not. Me personally, I say get rest, get normal rest, showers, eat, change your clothes, go home and do that shit, bro.
But they already know, like, once I cut off the breeze, like, get a warrant issued out for you. So they know I'm on the run. They try to get me.
But I know it's hard for you right now because you're trying to fast, man. Yeah, it's gonna be hard because you worrying about these pigs and which way they gonna come.
I've been locked up a lot of times. I've been put on probation. I've been put on braces. But it's to a certain amount that you could take, like, till you just like, I'm done. Even though you don't want to be done, you just like, I'm done. I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. So.
Amen, glory, hallelujah, church, say amen, hallelujah, hallelujah, your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, praise God, hallelujah. We couldn't be here this morning to give Him glory, to give Him honor, and to give Him praise, praise God, hallelujah, hallelujah. I have decided to follow Jesus. Come on down and give it to Jesus, praise God. Come on down to the
If you ain't got positive influences in your life, you're subject to fall to the street, the gangs, the drugs. I know because I lived it. And when I first got locked up, I was facing the death penalty. And that's what I went in. But by His grace and mercy, I'm saying I didn't get that. And so and it come to a point I realized I had to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
Take me on speaker real quick. I gotta tell you something. Make sure he can't hear me, because I'm ready to tell y'all. Nas got locked up.
Oh, man.
Yeah, killed his son.
When, this week?
A couple of days ago, police come. Instead of charging him for murder.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Come out my bag and fold a little more for him. Because he's not going to get away. I can't let him get away. I can't let him get away, man. I can't. No, we can't, bro, because I'm telling you, man, the whole male Nas, you're not built like that, son. You're not, Nas. You're not, son. Please understand, you're not, Nas. You're not, bro. You're not built like that. It ain't for you to go that route. Because it's gonna come at you at the end of the day. It's gonna come at you.
That's your call.
Oh, God.
Thank you.
050, dependent is up. We're waiting for Mr. Mercer.
Your Honor has a P number associated with warrant that's for receiving stolen property and resisting arrest for Mr. Powell. That case was merged last week into a homicide file, which is currently pending before Judge Whitman's court.
When they call and it's like, is this the parent of Nazir? I always get like, yeah, what happened to my son? please don't tell me that I have to go to identify a body. I don't want my son to spend his first adult years in jail, but in the streets. You might die from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
You gotta be in your stance, right over left. Right, check, right over left or right, stuff like that. Calms me down, like it lets me get my anger out when I go out there on the mat. Cause all the stuff that happened to me when I was little and stuff, like people hitting me and stuff like that. To come down here, that's what I was fighting for.
Okay, well that's good. So God answered prayer, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your mama.
Hello, man. I want to come in and work for you, my dude.
Come down there then. You got $600?
Hey, to wrestle you?
Yeah, we're gonna go to the gym. We're gonna let people see us wrestle. I want them to let them see me pick you up and drop you on your head.
I'm playing, bro.
Well, listen, you been doing good though. How's school coming along, bro?
It's going good.
Good. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Ain't nothing out here. Nothing, bro. Trying to, survive. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to run and go now? All right, man. Make sure you eat your pork chop. Take a bite of pork chop for me. All right, man. I love you. Be good, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm proud of you. All right. I would like to give him a hug before he can feel my energy. But right now I'm kind of hurting, and I'm trying to figure out maybe the wrong things of what I'm doing.
What do you mean by that?
That's my point. I don't know what I mean by that. I had a little incident happen to me over the week. I got locked up. But at the end of the day, can't blame nobody. Can't. And I'm hurt. What the hell did I do? Was all this worth it?
Someone in our own circle, grown person, grown, thought apparently the same thing these kids thought. Where did you find it to be worth anything if you end up in the penitentiary or in the cemetery? I don't care what kind of life you live.
When the washers and other people come through, I don't know who they know. I don't know what they do. But people are relying on me. And the brother, Hanif, you know, I tell him, I still love you, but you can't come in here.
Oh boy. Oh.
Oh, where they got fireworks at, son? I want some. I just want to visit my brother and my nana, see how my grandma been doing. She been in the hospital a few times and stuff like that. And I just want her to feel like I care about her. Take it.
I'm gonna have to go away for a little while. Maybe get my strength up, but I'm just so sick. Tari, you gotta get away because you're standing right in front of that fan. Y'all be good.
What do you need?
Me?
Yeah, do you need
I don't
anything?
Need anything, no.
Okay.
All right, y'all take care.
Now, let me borrow $50, please.
Yeah, in another life. When he came here to see me. I told him for one, I'm sick. I know he loves me and I know he loves Tari. But you know what I think too? As long as he stays where he's at with Aunt Barbara, I think he's gonna do good. I think he's gonna do good.
See, for me today, we don't come to mourn her death, but we're here to celebrate her life. And so next we're gonna have Fuquan give us the Old and New Testament.
Isaiah 41:10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, I will help thee. I will uphold thee with the right hand of righteousness.
Amen, somebody?
Nice. I don't think he did the murder, but if he did it, he's done. That's why a lot of times it's like I fail. Like it ain't go as it's supposed to have went. As I look at it now, as I carry on with it, I didn't fail. I could be there for him. I could be there for him.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha
اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداءك أعداء الدين واحم حوزة الدين وانصر عبادك الموحدين. اللهم آمنا في أوطاننا، اللهم أدم الأمن والاستقرار في ركوعنا. اللهم من أرادنا وأراد الإسلام والمسلمين بسوء فرد كيده في نحره يا رب العالمين. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في كل مكان.
Hanif.
Yeah.
Hanif right here, right now. Hold on.
What's up, my dude?
Oh, wait, let me see if this is.
Walaikum salam, boy. You sound like a big boy. I heard you gaining weight.
Yeah, little something.
Little something. Your business on Saturdays, right?
Yeah, Thursdays and Saturdays.
All right, Thursday and Saturday. If I don't come see you tomorrow, I'm gonna come see you Thursday, inshallah. I heard your mom right here. If you need anything else, just let her know. She'll tell me. Sorry.
My nana was like the best. I just wish I could have her back. I just want to talk to her. One more time. Just one more. I'm at that age, it's like, where do I go after I die?
did you get to choose which one was yours? Because I kind of wanted this one. You said because mine's bigger and yours got pink on it. I said, okay, since it got pink on it.
Man, I just want to know where my Nana's at. Is there really a heaven or is there really God?
Then we gotta go outside.
And there go my pen and wrestling as a freshman. My 7th and 8th grade years, I didn't do so good. But this year, slamming them full time. I know it has to be God, because how can someone take me from here to there? God been awesome to me, even though I haven't been awesome to God sometimes, but I feel like all people go through that.
Yo, what's up, bro? What's up, bro? Like Michael Black with you. Happy birthday, Black man. Happy
Yo! I thought it blew up right here, man. Someone got my phone.
Happy birthday. Yeah, you about to cry. Look, you
cry the love.
Not somebody tell you happy birthday.
Let me get a hug.
Hey, man,
Back up.
terrible.
Don't be crying. You're good, brother. You deserve it.
Look at, come on, honey, hurry up for the fire department guys.
Look at them. The fucking sad.
no problem. I mean, come on in, like you, man.
Yeah, no.
That's not loud. That's not it.
Yeah, that's it right here, baby. Damn.
You know, at first it was, the anger was so deep because of the disappointment. I could never have fathomed in a million years him, of all people, in that situation. Once you break that little trust barrier, it's kind of difficult to say, all right, you know what, come on back with open arms. But as I continue to toss with it, just recently, I see him, I had a talk with him, and as I embrace him today, I said to him, I love you, do what's right. That's all I'm asking you to do. And his word back to me was, I got you, big bro. And that's all I need.
I know I'm ready. I'm ready, man. I mean, I think he knew all the time that this is pretty much my life. And everything come when the Lord say, it'll come at the right time. minor setback for ready to come back.
Is she putting on his cap and gown? Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And accepting for Nasir Powell, his mother, Akira.
The times that I was in the prison, I used to watch leaves. I used to watch squirrels. How they was running around, going up in that tree, getting the little chestnuts and dropping them. I used to see shit dropping and then come back. Because everything got life. Everything got life. So my impact, I want to make a strong, dynamic impact. Not only on the world, but on me. Because if I deal with me, the world will see how I live. No. Put it in the scoop. Put it there first. Push up on it. Hold it from here.
Nah, I got it.
Place it like that. Boom. Push on it. A little bit. Shit.
Right here?
Up low. Right there. Push up in there first, son. Don't pull on the trigger. Watch your face. Straight aim. Don't stop. Go.
Clap. Today joining me, the director and producer of Two Gods, Zishan and Aman Ali. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
So, first things first, the title of the film, Two Gods. What is it in reference to?
The title first came from a conversation we had with a funeral director in Newark early in our filming process. And she was reflecting on the ways in which people were dying in Newark and the fact that people were dying younger than they used to, and not just of natural causes, whether that be because of violence or drug use or some sort of tragic circumstance. And we were like, well, why do you think that is? And she kind of unpacked it in a really sort of beautiful way. She herself was Muslim, and she said, in life, comes a certain point where you realize that you can't have two gods, like the streets and like the survival sort of mentality, and worship God at the same time. Like you can't hold those two entities with equal level of reverence.
Last Ramadan, I was home. So I still could start my day off how I want and fast regular. But now, it's too hard. Because I'm running the streets. I don't got a balance the whole meal in the morning, plus running the streets. So it's just hard.
I don't know if you think you're more comfortable on this motherfucking street, bro, because you're not. Me personally, I say get rest, get normal rest, showers, eat, change your clothes, go home and do that shit, bro.
But they already know, like, once I cut off the breeze, like, get a warrant issued out for you. So they know I'm on the run. They try to get me.
If you come from a community that you're dealing with any sort of harder circumstances, you have to make a choice of that survival mentality or that sort of preparing yourself for something that's bigger than you. And I think we felt that that was a really deeply human, empathetic lens of looking at like the crisis of faith that some people have.
Trying to get by today, just worrying about today versus worrying about your tomorrow and the future. This is a story that takes place in Newark, but these choices are universal.
Yeah, I had no idea that there was this community in Newark until I saw your film.
One of many things that excite us about telling this story is if you look at just simple demographics in the US, there's probably around, it's hard to get the exact number of Muslims, but anywhere between 3 to 6 million. You have certain groups of people that are, a part of the Nation of Islam, but you have a vast majority that are just mainstream Sunni Islam. And not only in Newark, it's a community that is grossly misunderstood for just awful, racist, hurtful reasons, being portrayed as a city of crime and lawlessness and chaos and this and that. And our approach to telling this story is, well, there's a reason why people live here. There's a reason why people have lived here for generations upon generations and are proud to be from here. And so that was the lens that we wanted to tell the story is let's see these people the way they see themselves. The Muslim community is very rich with a deep, deep, deep history in activism and social justice, even before Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam in the 60s. If you remember a couple years ago, that big lawsuit against the NYPD where the New York Police Department was spying on the Muslim community, that was led by mosques in Newark that led that lawsuit. And so that activism, that vibrancy and standing up for justice, definitely a core pillar of the community.
It is a community that there's every facet of care. There's a restaurant right across from the mosque that's owned by like a Muslim-owned restaurant. A lot of the businesses are Muslim-owned. The funeral homes are run by Muslim funeral directors and Muslim women funeral directors. It's beautiful to see that happening in a city like Newark, but in America in general, that it's so woven into the fabric of the everyday life. And also in Newark, there's so many families where there is somebody that's Muslim, or there's somebody that's converted, or there's somebody that has this sort of like relationship with Islam. So Islam is so much a part of just the general discourse in Newark, even if somebody isn't Muslim themselves.
Yeah, the mayor of Newark, Ras Baraka, is Muslim. Multiple city council members, elected officials, lots of music artists that have come from the community are Muslim. And so it's definitely part of the community.
I mean, generally, when you hear Newark, you think high murder rate.
Yeah.
A lot of people below the poverty line and crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's...
And an airport.
It's so hurtful and people are frustrated. And naturally, people are very skeptical. Anytime somebody comes in the community with cameras, they're like, here we go again. Another poverty porn reporter that wants to tell some awful, hurtful story. And for us, that's why we really took our time with this story is we spent months in the community before we barely even, for the first year, we probably lifted up a camera, 3 times, 4 times in that first year, is because we wanted to be as ingrained in the community as much as we could. Praying with people, hanging out at coffee shops, chopping it up on the street corner. It was really important for us, for our approach to filmmaking.
We became friends with Hanif first, and then we made a film later. I think we grew close with them as just people and really appreciated the time that we spent in the community. And then through an extension of the time that we had spent together was when we started to talk about filming, and we were filming like community events and helping the mosque out, and because like that was something that I knew how to shoot and I knew how to edit. So I would edit videos for the mosque and edit videos for the restaurants in the neighborhood. I was already out there making this material, and then through conversations with Hanif, it was like that mentorship aspect of his story, the things that were happening in their lives were so beautiful and compelling and complicated that we were like, we think this could be a really powerful piece to tell and share with the world.
I like him. I like him. He could be a good kid. He just need guidance, man.
Why was it important to tell this story now? In the context of, American Muslims living in this country. And how
Absolutely, and for us, it wasn't necessary to change people's opinions or tell a different side per se. We wanted to tell an accurate side. We wanted to tell a 3-dimensional side.
It's really important for us that a Muslim American story was situated outside of the sphere of politics or current events.
We just want to show people, if you were to come to Newark, this is the vibe that you're going to feel. And if you're gonna hang out with Hanif, this is what it's like to hang out with Hanif. And so for me, what I see on TV is not reflective of the conversations that I hear about in the coffee shops, street corners, the mosques, all across the country. And so I just wanted to have an accurate portrayal, not necessarily a different side or change people's opinions.
I think what we wanted was a film or a story that was beautiful, intimate, messy, and complicated, kind of all at the same time, right? Like, because in the way that life is, we wanted something that was complex, something that was layered, something that had heart. I think that was really important, something that had a living, breathing backbone to the storytelling, because that is what has been taken from a lot of marginalized communities, but I think the Muslim American community, we've been projected an image onto us. And then when you're talking about a Black Muslim community, even more so, right? Like, so much of that heart and vibrancy and care and tenderness has been kind of taken away from the societal conversations and the representations of these communities. So I think for us, not only as Muslim Americans, as people of color, as people who have grown up seeing the ways in which our identity have been kind of shifted and kind of played with in the media, we felt passionate about this being our first film that we put out into the world because it is representative of the types of storytelling that we hope become the norm.
Very often when you see stories about Islam, they don't really get into the spirituality about death and the process and things like that. Like, I want people to see these very rich, vibrant, nuanced conversations about spirituality. So it was important for us to not only get this film out into the world, but to be alongside these other artistic, award-worthy caliber films at film festivals and other places, and to show the Muslim American community in a beautiful way, in an artistic way. People want to see themselves. So when they watch this film, they say, oh, that's me up there. Or, I don't know that person, but I feel like I know that person.
So there are some very compelling characters in the film. Obviously, Hanif, Farquan, Naz. How did you meet these guys?
So Zishan and I, we grew up in Ohio, and growing up, we just were fed up with not seeing people that look like us in cinema and film. And so that naturally put us on that path. And a couple years ago, we did a project called 30 Mosques in 30 Days, where we went to every single state in America to tell stories about the Muslim American community. And the response from that, from people that followed the project, was, we want to hear more of these nuanced stories. And so after that, we built this following where we kind of put our ear to the ground to kind of find these interesting people and characters throughout the country. And we learned about a group of funeral workers that were doing funerals in the New York City area for families that couldn't afford them. And so we connected with them, and one of the people in that group was Rashad, who is the Casket shop owner in the film. And one day, a little kid came into his shop, and I said, who's that? Is that your son? He's like, no, it's just a kid in the neighborhood, and just trying to teach him how to be a man. And light bulb just went off, and that was about 5 years ago. And we hung out and then followed them. And then, yeah, a couple months after that, we met Hanif. And then slowly but surely, we started meeting everybody else in the film.
So you went to that mosque that you film in Newark for 30 mosques in 30 days?
We kind of became aware of Newark as a community through that lens, but then specifically we became aware of the Casket shop. That's where we met Hanif, and then we met Farquan, and then we met Naz, and we found this sort of interesting juxtaposition of the practice of building caskets and doing the washings and this coming of age story happening behind the four walls of the casket shop. And that was where the real sort of spark of a film grew, and that's where we started to meet our characters. It was kind of like the mosque and the casket shop became this community gathering space.
Right.
And from there is where we followed our subjects as they grew within those spaces and outside of those spaces.
What's important is you give them their right, which is wash them properly. And while you're taking pride into doing what you're doing, because they're no
So was it the mentorship element that really was the spark for you?
The first scene that we met Farquan is actually in the film, and it's the first time Farquan builds a casket, and we meet him outside of the shop where they're messing around, riding a bike. And the mentorship was so simple. It's let me bring this kid into the shop and let me show him what I'm doing. There's a moment where you kind of take a step back and you're like, he's not just mentoring this kid, he's teaching this kid how to build a casket.
You want to make sure it's even, just like this. Now shoot. Push it out. Take it out. Take it off the board. Now put it back down and shoot it. Make sure it's even.
There's something that was so viscerally real about that moment, but also it was done with so much love and tenderness.
Right.
The let me hold your hand and teach you how to put two pieces of wood together. Let me help you sand this piece of wood. The craftsmanship was so important to Hanif's work, but it was also like an act of care through mentorship. And something about it was really so unique, and we were like, this doesn't happen everywhere. This is so simple and beautiful. And it also helped that Frequan as a subject was just so captivating and so willing to be open on camera, which is so rare to find in like a young kid his age.
What would you do about that?
I bury you.
I appreciate it.
And then I take your business over. Then I'll be building caskets.
I think the mentorship was a huge spark, and we found it happening so often in Hanif's life. I mean, at the washing, we see him helping, teach a kid how to do a washing. We see it with his son. It was just a natural sort of extension with so much of the things that he did on his everyday life.
He took me to like plenty masjids, meeting new people. I think it was the second day of Ramadan. So if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't know as many Muslim brothers that I know now. He started off from where I started from. And it felt good, because no matter what I go through, I know that if I call Hanif, I know he gonna come. I know he always there for me.
I know that you've been inspired by a lot of photographers, photojournalists, and documentary style in the past, and then made a black and white film. So, as the director,
the aesthetics were really driven by this desire to tell something that was deeply reflective and artistic. The artistic choices were kind of a reflection of the intimacy that we were already witnessing in everyday life. So the black and white, for example, I always tell people like there was never an export of footage of the film that was in color. Like it was always in black and white in my mind. But I think it was because when you're entering these spaces like the washing, there's this fine line in these rooms. Like there's an energy in the room where you're exploring the rituals of death, you're exploring grief. There's a lot of like heaviness, but there's also a lot of really intimacy, care, and joy. We're exploring the kind of like coming of age sort of narratives, which to me, when I think of a coming of age narrative, I think of black and white photography. I think of old cinema, the 400 Blows, Killer of Sheep.
I'm not a child anymore. You soon will be a goddamn man.
I think of films that are deeply embedded in my mind. So when I was crafting the aesthetic choices, I was thinking of how do we weave between these two spaces of the rituals of death and the coming of age intimacy. And the black and white was a really simple but powerful way of showing the ways in which they're intertwined in an everyday basis. And the cinematography choices, the ways that it was shot, the way it drifts in and out of focus, the way that we can move between scenes editorially, that was all a part of capturing the fluidity of those spaces. I was deeply inspired by photographers like Carrie Mae Weems, Gordon Parks, and Danny Lyon, and filmmakers like Ramel Ross, Garrett Bradley, Alma Harrell. Filmmakers that are deeply interested in unpacking the beauty of everyday life and the intimacy of everyday life, and also the empathy both behind the camera and in front. I think that was always part of my artistic inspiration and my process.
So what kind of reaction did you get when you were showing footage to people in a position to give you the money to finance the film?
Early on in the process, we would kind of usually show two scenes, center the kind of what we showed of our footage. It was the scene with Hanif and Frequan building the casket, and it was the scene with the father and son washing. We always wanted to show them in tandem with, or in connection with one another. It was always like, if you can, please watch both of these scenes, because it wasn't just about one or the other.
Right.
That was really important to us, that we were never just showing a washing scene, or we were never just showing the mentorship, because it was important to show both. And I think people responded to the kind of uniqueness. They were like, I've never seen anything like the washings depicted in the way that you're depicting them.
Had they not come on board, would you guys have just self-financed and, had your day jobs and go and film and...
Yeah, I mean, for us, absolutely. I mean, obviously, like, we can always say if I didn't have this or that, but for us, we had a strong sense of putting this story out into the world. And early on, some of the money was coming out of our pockets and this and that, and we don't like to just sit and wait for things to be handed to us. We demand seats at the table. And it's not that, oh, we're gonna do this with or without you, but we had a strong sense of this story, and yes, we wanna work with people and we wanna get support, and that's okay if people say no. They're allowed to say no. And we always had plans saying, okay, if we are not able to get this, how are we gonna do it? If we can't get funding for this, how can we improvise and try to come up with other creative ways? So the vision was always to keep moving this project forward with or without support. We're just very fortunate and blessed to have that support along the way.
And we also had a small crew. I mean, the crew was just me and my brother during production.
So you were shooting and you were doing sound, or?
He would be shooting and I'd be asking the questions, working out the logistics.
The sound would be just straight from the
camera.
And live mics?
Yeah. One camera, one sound input.
I love it.
Very run and gun, like never a tripod.
That
also.
wasn't just a resources thing. A lot of it was a necessity. Because of this, we're in such deeply small, intimate spaces. When there's a body on the table and there's only enough room for 4 or 5 people, naturally you can only fit 1 or 2 people. You don't have time to have all these lights and boom mics and this and that. And people get a little awkward, right? When they're pouring their hearts out, they're grieving over the loss of a loved one. You don't want 5 cameras in your face or this or that. And so a lot of that was because of the story that we were setting out to do, and it made people feel a lot more comfortable because it was just us. They knew us.
And they knew us. I think that was so important. Every person that we filmed knew us very well by the time the cameras were rolling, that bringing any other person into this space, I think, would have disrupted the process, I think.
The film has a great, powerful score. Tell me about that.
We worked with a fantastic composer. His name is Michael Bahari. He's based out of Brooklyn. It was really important, I think, to understand the ways in which the score can speak to the emotional journeys and the textural elements of ritual. So like the score really plays on the themes of water, and we picked the instruments of the horns because they most closely matched the way in which that call to prayer was delivered. So we really wanted to showcase not only the textural details of the washings, but we also wanted to elevate the spirituality of the threads between the scenes and the moments between the characters. So the score, I think, was probably one of the hardest processes to find like the right balance in post. It was really rewarding when it started to kind of fall into place, when we started to build a palette of sound that I think felt right. Because it's such a fine line when you're doing score of like too much and too little.
Right.
And sometimes the score is quite full, and sometimes it's quite scattered in the same way that the emotions in the film sometimes are quite full, and sometimes the characters are moving away from each other and they're unraveling in their everyday lives. So we were constantly playing around with movement of instrumentation. That's actually like one of my favorite sequences in the film, I think, for a lot of reasons. The aesthetic choices, I think, that we made there in terms of the way it was shot, I really wanted to feel like we were really swimming in this moment, that we were kind of like suspended in this really beautiful dance between father and son. And the points of tension, but the points of like the intimate connection that they share, I think is a really beautiful connection that they have in that moment. And so every choice that we made editorially, the way we cut around their action as we're cutting through their split voiceover, split reflections on this moment in time.
So now, I just told him, just stay out the way.
The score that we crafted was really meant to have this sort of swimming bed of strings, but like in the midst of it is housed this really beautiful horn line that was meant to be an encapsulation of this bond that they shared.
Did they ever say, why do you want to tell our story?
Furquan asked
Why
that.
us?
Furquan asked that all the time. I think because he was like a young kid and he was just like, I'm just riding my bike. Do you want to follow? Like it was truly like, he was so confused when we would say things like, we'd be like, what are you doing today? And he would be like, I'm going to the park. And we'd be like, well, we want to film you. And he was like, why? Like, it was truly like, he could not connect the dots, understandably. And we were like, no, like we want to just get you lighting fireworks with your cousin, or like riding your bike or going to the store or something. And I think he questioned it a lot in a very sort of like endearing way, but Hanif, honestly, not only never kind of like questioned the filming, but we live in New York, so we're close to him, so we were able to kind of get out there very quickly, but he was always calling us, and he was like, I had a day, like I just need to talk, like can you guys come out here? Or like, hey, something's happening this weekend, like there's an event at the park, come hang out, film a little bit if you can. I think Hanif was probably our closest collaborator in the production process because of that. When we weren't there, letting us know like what was important to capture because we were representing so much of his journey. And I think it was really important for him to also have us in mind when thinking about what to film and when to film.
Yeah, no exaggeration. We've known Hanif now for about 4 or 5 years, and literally every single day, he calls or texts me to tell me how much he loves me. Every single day, he reinforces that. And he's just an incredible man. And I have nobody in my life, aside from my mother, but like nobody in my life that has that kind of affection for me. And it's a very beautiful thing. And just seeing how he just pours his heart out to so many people and just lets them know how much they mean to him is just an incredible, incredible thing. But literally every day you get it too. Like, and I'm sure he does this for dozens of people. Every single day he calls them to let them know, I love you so much and I appreciate what you've done and I hope that we continue to stay friends. Every day he does that.
Yeah, I talked to Hanif more than I talked to Aman. Like hands down, like even in the process of filming, I am in touch with him more than any person in my life, which is great.
Do you feel like you got too close to the subjects of your documentary?
The documentary is like a reflection of this moment in time in our lives. Like, I don't think we got too close. Like, it almost feels like sometimes like the film was secondary, if that makes sense. We were spending every weekend, every evening, every afternoon that we had free with Hanif because we loved spending time with him. We loved spending time with Furqan. The film stopped rolling, but we are still hanging out with Hanif any chance we get. We're, calling Furqan every time to check up on him. We're celebrating birthdays together. It's really like that bond that we have is kind of, I would say, yeah, we maybe got too close, but that's my favorite part of the process, is that we got too close.
And I think, I come from a journalism world where there's this facade of objectivity, right? But I think with filmmaking, it's obviously depends on the story, right? And this story necessitates this emotional connection and intimacy and friendship. And for us, there was never a idea of too close. And so sometimes we'd be hanging out and, Furqan or not, Hanif are talking about women troubles and we're just chopping it up. We wanted to make sure that we weren't there just to film and we didn't want them to feel like we only care about them for the film. We care about them as human beings.
Seems like it was a lot more than just you developed trust to gain access. You were already part of this community.
Yeah, and it's reflective of the story. And not to pat ourselves on the back, but that's how we were able to tell the story. And I don't think you'd be able to tell that story any differently.
You can pat yourselves on the back, it's okay.
I had a little incident happen to me over the week. I got locked up.
The two jobs of washing the bodies before burial and casket building really gave him a lot of purpose. And when he lost that, he lost everything in a way, and also lost face within the community.
These rituals saved him. It was where he found his redemption. And there was this moment in time where not only were the rituals taken away, but the two young men that he was mentoring were gone.
Yeah.
Nas was on the run at the time, I think, when he lost his job, and Furqan was in North Carolina. He would literally ask us, what do I do now? And it was like so heartbreaking. That question was so heartbreaking because it was like, he was in real time kind of thinking of like, who am I without these things?
Right, man. I think he knew all the time that this is pretty much my life.
But it also shows the deep level of care that Hanif had for those things and those people. That moment in time was so difficult because of what he lost or what he didn't have in that moment, and those things being an extension of how he defined himself.
He expresses so much through his body language and how he is physically, and when he's building caskets, he's just like bouncing around, so happy. And in that scene where the car breaks down and he's kind of lost everything, he's just like a shell.
Yeah. I mean, that's a scene where he doesn't say anything, you know, it's all communicated via like his body language. So I think that definitely was apparent that day and in that scene.
So there's a lot of very strong young characters in the film. How did you get them to speak so openly to you? And how did you get the parents' permission as well?
I think the openness came from a lot of the time spent with them, but I think it was also anytime we would quote unquote interview a subject or like have a conversation with them, it was always led by them. It was always like, I have something that I want to talk about. And I think the way that we crafted those moments, it's either with Hanif having a conversation with Naz on a porch, right? And it's a very candid, honest dialogue that they're sharing.
That's how it is. They know I've been locked up for stolen cars, so why not?
I know he don't really be out there with drugs on him, guns on him, or anything like that, but be out there, he affiliate.
I was doing good, too. It's like, just when they see you doing good, they smack you. Boom.
Or if it's Naz talking to us in his bedroom and he's kind of opening up about things that he just doesn't feel like anyone will listen to. Not only were we listening, but the camera was an opportunity for them to have their voices be heard. I mean, these are young men who are dealing with really difficult things in their lives. And a lot of times when you're that age, you don't know who's gonna listen to that voice that you have, like when you're going through something really hard. We never were like calling them to do an interview to get a piece of information. It was always, hey, I wanna talk about something just happened today, and I'm feeling like a lot of emotions. And it was always led by them.
They weren't worried that you were gonna be portraying their kids in a negative light?
I think naturally there's those parental concerns, and we had those conversations. And so we showed them footage and showed them what we were trying to do. And we showed up in their lives more than just with cameras. So once in a while, they'd be like, hey, can you help me run this errand? You know, it's my son's birthday. Can you guys come and hang out? And they saw that we were consistently there in ways that even their own friends didn't show up for them in those ways. And so it was important that we had that continued presence. And it was a very easy conversation, quite frankly. Like, there wasn't necessarily any tension. Anytime they had questions, they said, give us a call, let's talk about it, and let's go through it.
I think they also, because they deeply trusted Hanif. I mean, they had
for sure.
Because with Naz, we were talking, this is a difficult period in his life. Naz was talking about some really difficult things, but Hanif was truly like Naz's older brother. And Kira, the level of trust that Kira had for Hanif, in the sense that because we were so close with Hanif and because Kira was so close with Hanif, she understood that anyone in Hanif's life was somebody that she could trust too, in that sort of way.
Transitivity, right?
Totally, and I think that was really important for the kind of like parental trust, like you said, of how are they gonna trust that we're going to, not only in the production process, but in the editorial process, right? Like shape a narrative that was truthful, but also done with care for their children. I mean, they're protecting their children.
I mean, I think the reality is that their kids being portrayed potentially in a negative light is like, they've got bigger fish to fry than that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when Naz's mom, after the court date, and she's walking out, she's like, basically saying, well, at least he's alive and off the street. I mean, that's how bad things are. I mean, that was just like heavy.
People that don't have an understanding on a surface level think, well, where are the parents? Or what about the parents? Like, Kira's an excellent mother. She's a dedicated, persistent mother. And it's this very, very difficult realization is, at least my kid is in one space and I know where he is. I don't like that he's in jail, but as she said in the film, on the streets he may die. So at least I know he's in a place where he can't be hurt. And it's a very difficult moment of acceptance for a lot of mothers. Kira mentioned in the film that Naz was very close to his grandmother, and he had called 911, saw that, and to be 13, 14, to deal with such incredible, can only imagine level of grief and trauma, that's very difficult for a kid to process. And as he mentioned, like, it was after she passed away is when he started to get into trouble. And these moments is where you start to go beyond these labels of troubled teen or all these awful things and realize these conflicts that people deal with.
And Kira, even like on Naz's 18th birthday, they're like having a conversation with some of the mothers about, oh wait, there was this other kid who was killed by the police. And I think to me, that's another sort of heartbreaking moment where like the reality of the everyday experience of living in Newark and being, you know, a young Black man in Newark is you're gonna deal with an aggressive prison system that's going to kind of like profile young Black men, or you're gonna deal with violence, or you're gonna deal with issues in the community. And I think like Kira's journey is so difficult, but I think it was really important to represent the strength that she had. And it's heavy, like you said, like it's such a heavy moment to kind of reckon with it in that way.
Yeah, there's a moment she says, my son made it to 18.
Yeah.
That's just so much to process, this idea of he made it to 18. And that's just a very difficult thing to really wrap your head around.
Is she putting on his cap and gown? Oh, okay.
So Nas gets locked up about 2 or 3 months before he's about to graduate from high school. And Kira was relentless, like, my kid is going to get his diploma. And she fought the district, she fought teachers behind the scenes. Not that they were against it, they were just like, what? And she made sure that that happens. And
that wasn't an easy thing to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And did he get tried as an adult?
So actually Nas has not been convicted of any crime.
Oh, so he's been released?
No, he's still in jail.
It's been about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And basically what happened, this happens all the time. Police will round up a group of people and say, one of you did something, so somebody needs to flip. It's a way to intimidate people. And he hasn't formally been convicted of anything.
And how old is he now? 18?
He's 20.
Oh, he's 20.
He's been held in jail for over 2 years, and he has not been convicted for any crime.
Wow.
And unfortunately, like, we were kind of astounded. Every month that went by, we were like, how is this fair? And sadly, Hanif was like, I know somebody that happened to them and they were waiting in jail for 4 years, or I know, like, it's just like the unfortunate part about the criminal justice system in New Jersey, in America, is that is okay.
Furqan is, when he's in North Carolina, I love those scenes, like the go-kart track, and you see him changing, and the haircut, and join the wrestling team, maybe losing a bit of weight, and life in North Carolina is good for him, right? He's off the streets, he's not gonna get into trouble.
He's doing so much better. I mean, I think like the wrestling was really formative for him, like getting involved in team sport where he could put some of his emotions onto the mat, as he even says in the film, like he can take his emotions out in that way. It's like a form of therapy for him in a lot of ways. So I think he's grown so much. I think he has structure, he has community that's always watching out for him. Like in Newark, he had Hanif. Like Hanif was always looking out for Furqan, and he had his grandmother, and he had like certain individuals. But I think the difference is in North Carolina, the entire community takes care of each other. And Furqan is really thriving in that sort of like direct, attentive care in that way. So I think it's been really helpful.
The life that he had, very often it was about survival. And so he had to work to get a couple bucks to help feed his family. And so in Newark, he very rarely had an opportunity just to be a kid, just to be goof off and just be silly and, you know, play around and things like that. And because he was so much like, I gotta work, I gotta get some money to help my family out and this and that. And so North Carolina gave him an opportunity to pursue activities, play sports, and do things that he wanted to do, kid stuff, you know? And so that was really helpful for him. And it's beautiful to see, he's 17 now, right? Yeah, 17. Just to see the man that he's blossoming into. And so a lot of those lessons that Hanif taught him are all starting to click now. Even though he's in North Carolina and Hanif is in Newark, they have built this bond and continue to talk to each other and keep in touch with each other. And Furqan is now very reflective on his life and the journey that he continues to be on. And he's like, yeah, Hanif, I remember when you taught me about this, or you guys told me about that. It all makes sense now. And so that's been very, very beautiful.
I guess what was the hardest thing about making this film, the most challenging aspects of it? You know, any like super emotional scenes that were hard to shoot?
The scene with Furqan when he's talking about what happened with his mother was like probably one of the most difficult days we filmed. The washings were really sort of difficult because you're in a space where not only is it like logistically complicated, but it's emotionally so heavy. I mean, there's so many emotions in the room. And I think like it makes you be a deeply reflective person in that way. I think those moments were probably the hardest to film and capture. And it was even harder to do editorially, to like revisit that footage. I think those scenes were probably very hard in the edit room to watch and reflect on because it just would bring up so many emotions.
And on a personal level, about 2 years ago, during production, our father passed away. And as anyone knows, has lost a loved one, it's one of the most difficult moments in life to process the loss of a loved one. And when it came to washing our own father, we were prepared because Hanif taught us. We saw it from his own experience. And so as our family is overwhelmed with grief and anxiety and stress, my brother and I, we stepped up and said, okay, we need to do this. We need to take care of this. Okay, we're gonna watch this. You guys take care of that. You do this and you do that. And the way that Hanif was that pillar for people in the community, we had an opportunity to step up. And without Hanif, I don't know how we would get through that process on a personal level.
Is the film more about death or life?
I think Hanif says it actually so beautifully at the end of the film, where he's talking about through understanding death, you understand how to live. Like through looking at the ways in which something falls and comes back, right? Like he talked about like a leaf falling from a tree and then it comes back, the tree grows back and grows a new set of leaves, the cyclical nature. I think the film hopefully holds both with equal importance. The beauty of both, the difficulty of both, and the ways in which to understand how to live, you need to understand the meaning of death. To understand what it means to die, you need to understand what our life's journeys really mean. I think we always were trying to, in the edit, balance those two spaces with as much weight as possible.
Very consciously in this film, if you notice at the beginning, there's a slate that says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un, like verily we belong to God and to him we shall return. We begin the film and end the film on that because this idea of life and death being so intertwined.
What is the message of this film?
It really is, it's a mentorship story, but it's a story of redemption in a lot of ways, and like the ways in which we find redemption and the deeply human, intimate process to which you find ways to define yourself through the craft of what you're doing, through the love that you have with somebody else. And I think it's a film about the ways in which Hanif, as a man, started to try to save these kids, but in the process realized that these kids and these rituals were saving him.
Saving him, yeah.
So I would say like, it's kind of exploring a lot of those themes and that journey through that lens, I would say.
And what do you want audiences to take away from it?
I want people to be hungry for more stories like this. And audiences are, and you see this time and time and again, when stories about people of color are told by people of color, there's a difference in quality just by default. And I want people to demand to see more stories that aren't driven by headlines or superficial stories of people's projections or perceptions of what these narratives are about. And I want people to celebrate these stories and to let their friends know, like, you need to watch this film. We need to talk about this.
Ultimately, like, I want people to walk away with this film seeing that care and love and tenderness exists through the rituals of grief, through the rituals of mentorship, and everything in between.
What kind of reaction have you been getting at the festivals where the film has been screening?
We took Hanif with us to Maine, Camden International Film Festival, which is in Maine. We drove out there, and they had this they built this drive-in screen, and a bunch of cars pulled up. And when the film finished, people started flashing their lights and honking their horns. And it took a second to realize what was happening. That's how people were applauding. And Hanif got out of the car and just like screamed and was just so ecstatic and so joyful. And people came up to him and just pouring their hearts out to him about what his story meant to them. And that was what we were yearning for, is because these people gave 4 or 5 years of their life, and we want to make sure that people see them the way that we see them.
Was this a therapeutic process for you as well, in terms of losing your father while making this film?
Yeah,
and continuing on?
It was so important. One, because we were spending so much time with Hanif, we were talking about our emotions and how we were feeling, and he was kind of like helping us through that in the same way that the conversations in the film were helping our subjects. Like, we were really navigating grief in real time. And that navigation of grief was a reflection point constantly in the editorial process, constantly in the filming process. When you lose somebody so close to you, it almost feels like your life is kind of falling apart, and you have to like do this really delicate process of piecing it back together. And I think that to face grief like that in the middle of the editorial process, we undid so much. We actually like undid scenes, we undid sequences, and we reinserted the sequences with quietness, reflectiveness. I had this desire to just have the world be quiet for a second and just linger. And we built that into the editorial and the scoring process and the mixing process. It was like, I want to linger, I want to swim, I want to float through these spaces, I want to feel connected to the physical touch of washing a body, because to me, the touch of washing my father before he was buried was everything to me. Touching our father for the last time was so important. So those intimate details of the rituals of death, not that I'm thankful for loss in any way, because it was one of the most challenging things I think we've ever had to go through, but we would have made, I think, maybe a different film, because I think so much of that grief was inserted into the creative process, especially in post.
Yeah, we're 5 brothers. We live in different parts of the country, and for all 5 of us to be there at that table to wash our father, our uncle was there as well, to let our father know that he is deeply loved and is deeply cared for in every step of the way, was really, really important.
Starting to feel very emotional now.
It's one of these things that continue to motivate us to tell this film, because death is such an uncomfortable subject. It's awkward to talk about, and for us, we wanted to normalize these things. We want people to get wills. We want people to talk about these end-of-life care decisions with their family. God forbid, if mom or dad is on a ventilator, what are you gonna do? When you grieve, the last thing you want to worry about is filling out paperwork. So have these conversations now. It's awkward, it's uncomfortable, it's horrible to have with your family, but have it now, because when these moments happen, you just want to be able to just grieve in peace.
Well, that's a wrap, boys. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having
Thank
us.
you. All right, we can't shake hands. We'll just walk out. Ended on kind of a heavy note.